Super fanboy guy. Hey everybody, this is Brandon, also known as Super Fanboy Guy on YouTube, and I am doing this recording because I actually brought two of the players that are going to be participating in my live stream event on June 5th at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And these two players are active in the Versus System community on Facebook, and I have them with me today. It is Kevin Jackson and Aaron Mead. Hey guys, how you doing today?
Pretty good.
That's good.
Awesome. Glad to hear. Pretty much what we're going to do is we're going to go over their decks that they're going to be playing on the stream, and they're going to also talk over the strategies of some of the cards in the deck and some of the favorite things that they like to do. So actually, I want to kind of start by asking you guys, so where did you really get started involved with Versus System? Let's start with you, Kevin.
My friends and I, back in New Orleans, where I'm born and raised, we're all comic book, anime nerds. And we play all sorts of, and we're also tabletop nerds. So we play all sorts of trading card games and tabletop games and board games. So my friends are the ones who introduced me to Versus System because they knew at the time that my two favorite people in comics, like as far as DC and Marvel, are Batman and Spider-Man. Well, they just so happen to be the two introductory sets for the most part to Versus System. So they're like, hey, you want to try out this game? And I think they introduced me when the Marvel Origin set came out, so the focal was Spider-Man. Spider-Man was the focal point. So they introduced me in that, and I was like, what? I was like, really? You could play trading card games with comic book heroes? They're like, yeah, DC versus Marvel. You can mix them up. You can do different things. I'm like, cool. I want to try this, and so I bought the Spider-Man deck, and the rest was history. I've been following the game ever since.
Wow, awesome. Well, yeah, that's good. That kind of sounds similar to, I got started with Origins too, so I kind of know what it's like to, get really involved into something, especially if it's comic books, as everybody who knows me on my YouTube channel knows I'm a big comic book fan. So, yeah, that's really cool that's really cool to hear. And Aaron, how did you get started in Versus System?
Oh, jeez. I heard it was coming back when the power levels were way, way higher when they were being demoed to the public. And I asked my LCS to get in stock and played from the start. We temporarily dropped it during Spider-Man because, I mean, let's face it, Spider-Man is horrible.
Oh, I hope Kevin didn't hear that.
Send your mail, folks. Send your mail. But
hey, man,
after that,
different folks.
Hey,
after that, it was pretty much straight on through.
So Spider-Man's one of my favorite too. And again, with you, Kevin, I'm a big Batman, Spider-Man fan myself. So I started playing the game, I was in college and I was exposed to the game because a friend told me about it. And I remember seeing like the advertisements for the game on the back of well, not on the back, but like inside comic books and stuff like that. And I was working at a place called the Gamekeeper, which is it was owned by Wizards of the Coast, and it was the game store. And so I got a little exposure from that, but mostly I just got it from reading comic books and stuff like that. So let's talk about your guys' match for a little bit here. So for the first preliminary match, we're going to have Kevin. His deck is going to be a Team Superman deck. And Aaron's deck is going to be like is it a Lex Luthor Revenge Squad kind of theme, Aaron? Is that what you're going for? Okay.
I didn't reinvent the wheel. I kept Revenge Squad on team and just brought out some of their fun tricks.
And actually, I'm surprised that you didn't decide to go with the Injustice Gang hand control deck, because I know that's a really popular card too with Lex Luthor.
It's exactly why I didn't. I don't like playing the number one thing. Okay. So if the best overall version is perceived to be, I don't know, the Injustice Gang, we'll say, for the purpose of this, I'm just not going to touch it. I never liked the idea of the Injustice Gang handfill burn control dealio because it needed things that, for the purposes of this challenge, I mean, I don't want Lex Luthor needing like Doom to lock down the board or Joker, right? I want it to be like Lex doing nasty things, and then he's got friends who also do nasty things like together. So I just went with the Revenge Squad angle instead.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Sounds like you pretty much play like me, because I don't like to play the top decks, because it's like mainly because
this isn't like a tournament final either, right? This is just hey, let's go fight.
Yeah, and like my main reason is, if you got these top tier decks that everybody knows, a lot of people will play those decks, and everybody knows how those decks work. I prefer to build creative decks that you don't see often and will counter those top decks. So I'm like you. I don't like to play the top decks.
Yeah, and the advantage that you have by not playing a top deck is people may not know how to play against your like homebrew deck as well. So that kind of gives you an advantage in the on the game as well.
Well, not in this case, but I mean, wow. Generally, you don't know what your opponent's going to play. Like, I'm literally about to find out in 3 seconds what his deck list is and how mine's going to match up into it. So there really isn't going to be that much of an element of surprise for us, per se. But yeah, whatever.
And actually, and pretty soon, as you guys know, my main event with Barakai Adams, it's going to be his Dark Side deck against my Dr. Doom deck. And we already know each other's deck lists at this point. So we've made them and we constructed them and we already have an idea what to go. And also, it's important, and I thought it was important for us to know what our decks were, because it also helps with, like, you know, if I don't know certain cards in his deck, like, you know, we're going to be doing like a live paper event, and I think you guys want to do Octagon for your match because it was just the easiest to do.
We're doing Octagon for this,
right?
Yeah, it's my fault. I'll admit it, just because I don't have a effective setup to do a live stream paper card event.
Oh no, yeah, no problem. And it's, you know, I appreciate you guys, you know, doing this for the stream and for, you know, the fans of the game as well. So thank you very much for that. Yeah, so I think right now let's go into your deck profiles. And does anybody have a preference? Who wants to start first?
Doesn't matter to me. We're all going to know the same thing when it's over.
Okay. Kevin, do you feel comfortable starting?
Yeah, I'll start.
Okay, go for it.
So my deck is basically, it's got 3 characters in it. There's a handful of Lois Lane, Earth 2 and Star Reporter. There's Longshot, and everything else is Superman. So it's literally a Superman clone deck.
Oh, very cool.
So Lois Lane, basically both of the Lois Lanes help me cycle through a search for Superman. Longshot, since 2/3 of my deck is Superman, I just use Longshot. I'll call Superman and any other card and cycle through that. Cycle through with it that way. And I also pack certain things that help out Longshot, like night vision.
Oh, okay.
Like, yeah, it makes the opponent play with their top card revealed. Great little extra effect, but I don't mainly use it for that. I mainly use it to look at my top card. So if my top card is something other than Superman, then I'll just activate Lois Lane and be like, for example, solar powered Superman.
So that's
I'm going to get that combination.
That's the top card of your deck, right? That you look at with night vision. Okay.
Yeah. So I just call whatever the top card deck is and Superman. Yeah. The only time that might mess me up is if the top card is Superman, which is why I have Lois Lane. Cool. Just cycle through and grab that Superman. So the whole idea is basically just filling up the deck with Superman. I've got Superman Red in there, which can help me make Superman not unique, but I primarily use Lookalike Squad. So I always have like a thick ass hand with 2/3 of it being Superman. So any my Superman are in combat, they get stunned. Cool. I'll just drop them for another Superman with Lookalike Squad. And that's essentially what the whole deck is. Yeah, everything else is just pumps and supports for Superman. Searching out cards like for the man who has everything. Search out another Superman. Lois Lane, search out a Superman if I need to. And if for whatever reason I don't have Lookalike Squad, well, Superman Red is a backup for me to make Superman not unique. If I don't have Red for whatever reason, then I got Cadmus Labs. That's my second backup to make Superman not unique. So that's like literally the whole aim of my deck is just filling up the field with Superman and running through people.
So now I did look at your deck list about a week ago, but I didn't really have a chance to fully memorize it yet, but I'm obviously going to put it on my YouTube channel so people could look at it. But do you run like Last Son of Krypton or Metropolis Marvel, the more powerful ones?
I do run Last Son of Krypton.
Okay.
I honestly want to run Metropolis Marvel, but considering it's a $200 card, I can't really get a hold of it. And even if somebody does get it in stock somewhere, it's gone like 2 minutes.
Yeah, that's true. I know Category 1's got that foil one for $400, which is pretty ridiculous. I remember.
It'll sell soon.
Pretty nuts.
It'll sell fast. It won't make it the week.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, who knows? Maybe after you
Mind you, you guys can have your little Superman. That's fine.
Yeah. And all things considered, since I'm using Octagon, I could very easily just drop Metropolis Marvel in here, but considering that card is so rare and expensive and I don't actually own it, I wouldn't feel right putting it into here. So instead my 5-drop Superman is Man of Tomorrow.
Oh, is that the one that gets invulnerability for the first attack and defense?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so that's funny you mentioned that because my buddy actually has a World's Finest deck, and he actually has one Metropolis Marvel in there, and the other two placements are the one that you just mentioned, the Man of Tomorrow. Is that it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he plays that one in his deck as just a placeholder until we find the other ones for him. So yeah, definitely seems like your deck will be a lot of fun, especially if, there's a lot of Superman fans out there that are, definitely interested in playing like a Superman themed deck. So that's pretty cool that you came up with this kind of deck. So it should definitely be fun to see when you guys play.
Yeah, one of my old buddies in my group helped me come up with it because he ran a similar deck using long shot, cloning characters, and basically having long shot cycle through the deck. So I figured, hey, at the time I owned like a lot of different Superman cards, so I just kind of threw it together as a poor man's deck and just made it Superman. And over time, just upgraded it. Like it used to have blue in it, but once I got a hold of Man of Tomorrow, I took out blue, threw in Man of Tomorrow. Stuff like that. I had the Darkseid's Elite Superman in there originally, but then I got a hold of Deterrent Force, so took him out for Deterrent Force.
Oh yeah.
Just little subtle changes like that. Probably the one card that you may or may not, that you most likely will not see in this game is my 9-drop Superman Bulletproof.
Oh yeah, that's the one that can't be stunned, right?
Right, and I have one copy in the deck, and literally the only reason I threw him into the deck was because of Galactus decks, which at the time were running rampant, so I threw him in to deal with Galactus. That's literally the only reason he's in there.
Right. Okay. So, and then the other thing is that, if I was to make a Superman deck, you're missing Big Blue Boy Scout, but obviously you can't play him unless you're playing Batman because he was always one of my favorite cards as well.
I do like Big Blue Boy Scout. In fact, he was in my first, I ran a Gotham Knights deck once upon a time, and he was in my first draft of that deck. But then I took him out and just focused it all on Batman. One interesting thing I did do with that deck, I know this is off topic, but I splashed in Fantastic Four with it, focused on dropping equips everywhere.
Right.
The type of equips that, you could draw cards and power people up and things like that. And it just all led into 7-drop Batman and swing out with all of my Fantastic Fours, Cosmic Radiation, re-ready everybody, tap them down, draw more cards. Cosmic Radiation, re-ready everybody, tap them down, draw more cards. I have like 30 cards in my hand and then just swing for the fences with Batman. So
yeah.
So at that point, it's like, fuck, I don't need Big Blue Boy Scout anymore. I'm gonna just take him out.
Right, because you would win by turn 7 with the Batman anyway. So
right,
there's really no point in playing. But playing Big Blue Boy Scout is just kind of like when you play him, there's like a sense of accomplishment that you get when he hits the field. And you're like, yeah, I got Big Blue Boy Scout out. It feels good.
Yeah, exactly.
So, okay, so yeah, that is Kevin's Superman deck. And again, like I mentioned, I'll put it up on the YouTube channel so people can look at it. And so now let's go to Aaron. Okay. Now, if people are not familiar with Aaron, which I couldn't imagine why they wouldn't be, Aaron is actually the...
Who? All right.
Yeah. Aaron is actually the creator of the Versus System Collective group on Facebook. And actually, before we go into your deck profile, Aaron, while I have you on here, what made you decide to create this group to begin the start?
Oh man, Facebook was still generally new, and our local group needed a group. So it used to be just our old local posse trading hub, reminders of when events were happening. I mean, hypothetically, if you go back far enough in the group, you'll just see the same 4 guys talking to each other about stuff.
Oh, wow.
I eventually just renamed it to add the collective portion at the end, and like it's been our little home forever. And it was just originally named in a way that was pretty generic. So all of a sudden we had like randos joining the group and stuff like that, and it became just this big hub. And then when the forums went down, it became like a backup, and it just kind of worked out that way. So I didn't plan it. I didn't say, hey, everybody, come over here. It just kind of happened, I guess. So.
Yeah, but now I think the group has over 1,400 members or something like that.
Yeah, we live between 14 and 1,600, depending on seasonal stuff. And I mean, I'm a lot more active than people think with the ban hammer and spam and stuff like that. So we try to stay on top of that stuff.
Yes, and I speak everybody else who's part of that group that the collective has been so great. I joined it since I think like 2012 or 2013, something like that. But I didn't become really active in it until, last year when the pandemic happened and people were stuck at home, and we just saw this like swarm of posts of people selling their cards. And, that got a lot of people interested back in the game. So I feel like the group has really been active since last year. Do you agree or disagree with me on that?
100%. It was not too much action, buy sell trade function for basically the last 6 years, and then COVID hit and everybody was suddenly bored with nothing to do. And then around the start of COVID, I found the original templates for the Octagon files and just kind of said, hey guys, look what I found. And then all of a sudden this mass explosion of interest and people selling cards and trying to do real life events and stream events and stuff like that. So it's just nice to see this kind of a nice legacy explosion of versus content, old players, new players alike.
I started a podcast called The Golden Guardians. It's on YouTube and Spotify. And one of the episodes we did a episode called Meta Talk and Versus System Finance. Pretty much in that episode, I talked about how people you can buy from websites like category1games.com. This is a big one that people usually, if they have a lot of inventory in stock, and that's like the one website people go to buy stuff.
Well, yeah, when Cool Stuff dropped the content, there was really nobody selling singles anymore. So somebody in the community, or at least aware of the community, just said, you know what, I'll just add this to my project, and it exploded for them. So good for them.
Yeah, I was going to say, and that's unfortunate too, because Cool Stuff was the main hub that I went to buy my stuff.
I think everybody did, because I forget his real name. I only knew him by Card Crazy, but as far as I'm aware, and I could be wrong, and I'm sure someone will correct me on this if I am, but he worked at Cool Stuff for the longest time. And as long as he was there, he was basically like the reason versus singles were still bought and sold. And then, of course, life changed. And I think when he wasn't there anymore, they just extracted that service and didn't even bother taking the cards off their database. People still use them for like finding stuff, I guess.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So the point where I was trying to go with this is that, people go on eBay or Category 1 to buy single cards, but they come to the collective because sometimes people will post auctions or other sales posts that maybe Category 1 games didn't have the cards in stock for a while. Now you have your chance to get them. And then also one of the benefits of joining the collective too is, Tom Fleming, who is one of the original artists on a lot of these Versus System cards, will post his eBay auctions for his original artwork. And that's really a rare thing that you can't find anywhere else either. And I may have bought a few of his original artworks, or 2 or 3 of them. So I never could, do that anywhere else. So it's pretty good to have this community that is just focused around this game still, even though it's a discontinued card game.
Oh, yeah.
So... But
not discontinued to me, but I mean,
out of print, I guess is probably the right term to say anyway. But okay, so enough about that. Let's, Aaron, let's talk about your deck that you're going to be playing on the stream. So you're playing a Lex Luthor theme deck, if I understand correctly, right?
Yeah, it's Lex Luthor Legend. I made sure that, we had him where we needed him without diluting too much of what we want to do. So my favorite card ever printed is Prankster 1-Drop. Okay. So we've got him slotting up the front, and me hitting him on 1, and I'm not joking, will most of the time seal the game for me right there, because he's just that stupid. So basically what you're doing is, let's say you draw the nuts and you hit the Prankster. He's the only 1-drop I run, by the way. So like, it's not going to happen regularly. But when it happens, it's glorious. So You've got Prankster on 1. You're going to activate. You're going to call a number. Your opponent reveals the top 4 cards of their deck, and whatever matches the number goes straight to the KO, and the rest go back on top in any order the opponent wants. So this is twofold. Really handy to have because, one, as long as Prankster's in play, I'm always going to know what he wants to put in his hand because he's going to, like, if I whiff completely, he's going to choose the next 2 cards on the top to be the next cards he draws based on what he needs or whatever, right?
Okay.
So I can kind of use that information and get a good idea of what's currently in the hand or what's not in the hand. And I can chain to the draw anyway at the start of the next turn, knowing what he just put on top of his deck and just get the call that I'll never miss. And then continue every turn, whatever I missed, whatever's left. If there is anything left and I'm worried about it, I can just call out whatever that number is. Or as we go on, maybe I'm nervous about search, right? So mobilize, enemy of my enemy, that kind of stuff. Maybe I'll just start calling 3s across the board, or maybe I'm nervous about cover fire, so I'll start calling 2s across the board. And usually, if I'm lucky, obviously, he'll stay in play for 2 or 3 turns. And by then, I've gone through 12 to 16 cards, and I've done my damage, right? So maybe I've mitigated their early game enough, or their consistency in early game enough while I'm trying to set up my stage. But anyway, I had to give my boy Prankster a shout out. So after that, it's pretty standard stuff. Straight Revenge Squad curve. So we got Brainiacs in the hidden area, and 2 with Terra Man as an option. Atomic Skull as an option because this list isn't afraid to underdrop. Profit Meal, full set on 3. You really can't not go that way. Off drop is Lex Luthor, President Lex, the 4/4 that puts cards in your hand equal to your ongoings, because this is an ongoing themed deck. On 4, Maximus with Tech Drop Metalo. I figured if I'm fighting Superman, he's going to either have Aegis armors or Cosmic counters, so it'd be nice to have a character that just rips him off. On 5, Lex Luthor across the board. 4, Lexus from DCL. Metropolis Mogul, because he's too good not to run.
Oh yeah, especially in a Lex Luthor theme deck. Yeah,
it's a Lex Luthor theme deck. If there's any time I'm supposed to feel okay about running a full set of these boys, this is it. On 6, we got Double Brainiac 2.5. Again, ongoing theme. Looking for KOing options. Also Substitute, which is nice. And I snuck in Dark Seed. I'm sure Benakaya, if I pronounce that right, is going to get a big old kick out of that. But my Dark Seed combo is different than his. We'll get to that later. General Zod on 7 with Big Lex Luthor, who removes team attackers, and Solaris on 8, which kills me a little bit on the inside because I am a diehard Doomsday fan. Basically, anybody who's killed Superman, I'm a big fan. So
not a big fan. Not a big fan of Superman, are you?
I'm really not. But that's fine. That's fine. I don't try to rain on anybody's parade.
Well, you said you were kind of bashing Spider-Man earlier, and we didn't really hold you accountable about that.
The two top things that I just don't like is Superman, period, and Spider-Man, period. It doesn't make sense to me. There's nothing relatable. Maybe in the old comics it made more sense to have that story to tell. I just never got it. So yeah, that's just me, you know.
Okay.
Everybody else can have it, and they can like it.
Yeah, well, here's another. Got it. Here's another question that just popped in my mind. Okay, so if you're falling off a building, who would you rather be saved by, Spider-Man or Superman?
I'd say let me fall.
Seriously? Wow.
Yeah, not gonna be that guy. You got better things to do, Steve. You go do those better things. It's fine. Spider-Man wouldn't take no for an answer. He's kind of a dick that way. So,
if it was my buddy, he'd say, "Nah, booster gold, bro."
Yeah.
He's all about booster gold. I'm actually building him a JLA deck with booster gold in it just to teach him the game.
So anyway, continuing into my plot twist, I don't run any locations. So standard stuff, mobilize for search because they don't have a dedicated team searcher that's worth running. Death of Superman has to be in there. Come on, are you kidding me? I run double PA, double Omni. I run mob mentalities because it's a searchable ongoing pump. So that's always nice in the clutch to have my ongoing still supported and be able to drop a +3 for the turn. I got some shenanigan plays too. Knowledge is power. Call out Superman might make your day a little rough. When all of a sudden you can't can't recover characters named Superman anymore. I wasn't sure what I was playing into, so I promised this isn't like After Tech. I got one of New and Improved and one of Secret Society, just because if the 5 does go down, it's a great opportunity to just pop it and play the president, and then have massive draw support going into 6. I've got one of Executive Privilege, and I got a Reign of Terra. That's my play. Instead of that Rock of Eternity crap with Darkseid, I just give you Reign of Terra and strip your team affiliations off and go that way.
Wait, are we talking about Reign of Terror, the Doctor Doom card, or is there another card?
Terra.
Oh, Terra.
Yeah, the ongoing. Here, I'll read it for you. Characters you control have lose all team affiliations other than Deathstroke and cannot gain team affiliations other than Deathstroke. So,
okay.
Void to them, and it doesn't affect anything. They don't tap out at the start of their turn. They just lose their affiliation, and sometimes that's enough of a big old middle finger to kind of ruin what they're trying to do. Team attacks, that sort of thing.
Okay.
Support pumps, Team Superman character gets, that sort of thing. I'll have just enough of some evil shenanigans coming your way to give myself a good time. So that's basically my list without walking through all my card counts and stuff. But
okay, cool, great, yeah.
I think Lex will have a pretty good time.
All right, awesome. Well, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing your guys' match personally, because I feel like you guys have some interesting stuff going on with your decks, which is really cool. And actually, right now, I also want to share with you guys something. I'm just trying to find it. Okay, so on the Facebook group, I posted a poll that, who do you think will win the first preliminary match on Saturday? And I put Lex Luthor and Superman. And we have 20 votes for Lex Luthor and 7 votes for Superman. So, Kevin, you might have some work to do against Lex Luthor.
the people have spoken.
No, I'll be totally honest with you. I agree with them. I agree with it, because like I said, this is just a fun deck. It's not even my best deck. I grabbed the Superman deck because it's like, oh, you need Superman? I mean, I got a Superman deck. Okay, cool, let's play it. I didn't build this deck necessarily to be highly competitive. I built it to have fun. So because I had an interesting idea. That's why I call the deck Robot Chicken. Because Superman. That's literally why I call it Robot Chicken. Yeah.
That's great. Okay, so is there anything else that you guys want to add? Like, do you want to trash talk your opponent or anything like that before we?
I don't think we're at a trash talking stage. We'll save that for the main event and our costumed antics. But no, like you said, we're just all here to have fun. I didn't try to bring what I consider to be degenerate. Maybe I did. You guys. Feel free, write in, get on that. In between your Spider-Man is not a piece of crap emails. You can send all that to me, and we'll break it down and have some follow-up shows on it.
Yeah, that would be fun. I wouldn't mind playing my Spider. Like, I have 2 types of Spider-Man decks. I obviously have the competitive Spider Stall deck that I recently made, but I also have a Marvel Team-Up themed Spider-Man deck, and I would like to play your Lex Luthor deck against that Marvel Team-Up Spider-Man deck that I have.
Heck yeah. So that was the other thing that I was kind of having fun with this, because I made the deck to not just be like, hey, let's try to pick on Superman. I mean, it goes without saying, obviously, cards like Death of Superman were just too poetic to not put in. But, I mean, I could play this against Darkseid and not feel like I'm horribly mismatched, I think. I could play it against a lot of stuff that's also a legend and not feel horribly bad, but also not feel like I'm really pouring on piles of hatred, because the little bit that is there is usually one of that I can dependably search for if I go off with the 3. So if it whiffs, it whiffs, and we'll still have fun, and I'll still talk smack about how much I hate Superman after we're done. So it doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I'll do pretty decent as far as the game experience against this, because like you mentioned earlier, like a lot of stuff like takes away affiliations, but to be honest, most of my stuff reads as target character named Superman. So it's like, okay, I could still do something,
Yep.
Obviously, I'm not gonna. Obviously, like if that effect is out, then Lois Lane is useless. Or Star Reporter is useless. For the Manuals, everything is useless. Things like that.
Yeah, but this also isn't happening before turn 6 either. So it's not like it's going to affect the early game that you would be using to set up. So it's just like, hey, wouldn't it be nice to swing for game? And no, he can't reinforce. that kind of stuff is kind of nice to have on the table to some degree. So
I will
yeah,
say,
good point. It's a good thing I have Kal-El then. Probably my only saving grace in that case, but usually I get him. I get him because I have so much cycling in the deck.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So the other thing I will mention that, Barakai has made several videos about, calling me out. And I'm not sure if you guys seen those in the group or not, but in one of his videos, he says, something about, I'm not going to get him below 40 endurance. So Kevin, I think if your Superman deck gets Lex below 40 endurance, that's a big accomplishment there. I've got
no problem.
I've kind of used that as the standard of if you can't get them below 40, then there's something wrong with your deck.
Honestly, I don't see that being an issue with my deck because like a lot of it is built on beatdown. I mean, it's Superman, so So there's a lot of pumps. There's a lot of like chaining effects, things like that. That's just meant to just beat people's face in with a bunch of Superman on the field.
And who knows? There might be a turn where you just have 5 Superman characters in your hand, and you just power up your one on the field so the 5 times that it might be the thing to give you the edge.
Yeah, and that's another thing that my deck can do. So I'm not too worried about damage. I'm not going to necessarily guarantee a win because, like I said, my deck is simple, but I'll at least do some damage.
Oh yeah, definitely, for sure. And actually, I just thought about this on the top of my head too, and I want to ask you guys this question too. And this is a question that I ask on my podcast. But if you guys got to allow 4 copies of any one band card for your decks, what would they be?
Oh, that's an easy one.
Oh yeah, what is it?
Bring back Talia.
Oh, okay.
Like I'm Lex. Talia's on the ban list. I'd just bring her back, and we could do the Punisher Armory Infinite setup.
Okay.
Yeah, we kind of had a discussion on this earlier, but we realized, like in the grand scheme of things, like the card I was referring to wasn't actually banned by Upper Deck directly. Like, so I'm guessing in hindsight it was a local thing that somebody just miscommunicated. But I brought up the 2-drop Franklin Richards earlier because he was part of my Inhumans of Galactus deck.
I still can't believe someone told you that was banned. That's crazy.
Yeah. I went to a PCQ and I was told by the organizers, hey, that card's banned. So
that's it.
Play it.
Let's hunt them down. Figure out the year and the format. We got the city. Let's find these people and make them pay Lex style.
But the only, like, I didn't pay too much attention to the ban list itself because most of the time I just ended up playing cards that weren't actually banned. But Talia, like the ones I know of are Talia and Overload.
Yes, my favorite one.
Yeah, if anything, I would pack Overload if I could too, because like there's so many decks that people play that just pump up the attack like crazy, and I just be like, okay, Overload.
Yeah, because in my podcast, I always say Overload's always my answer because we asked that question towards the end of the podcast. So definitely that. But anyway, yeah, so I think that'll wrap it up for this recording. And, guys, I want to say thank you again for coming on and doing this recording with me. And thank you for participating in my first preliminary match. And as of right now, I said I would have 2 preliminary matches, but I think you guys are going to be the only preliminary match because no one else has really come up to me and talked about doing a second match. So we might
I'll fight someone else. It'll be fun.
I do have an Avengers deck if you still need that.
Okay. Well, if you guys want to, maybe we can work something out like that. If you guys want to do another game.
Later. It's all good.
Yeah, no problem. But again, thank you for helping me out with this. And, thanks again for coming on. And once again, you guys will see these two decks, the battle of Superman versus Lex Luthor. They're going to be the first match on June 5th at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And thanks again, gentlemen. And have a good night.